In this video, we're going to learn how to use our flash meter. So this is different than the light meter in your camera because your light meter in your camera cannot read flash or strobe lighting. So you will need a handheld meter in this case. Now this is something I keep in my bag as an essential tool, not only for when I'm using flash or strobes, but also for ambient exposures, because I find I can get more accurate exposures using this than I can with my standard reflective meter from my camera. So let's walk through some of the different items on the meter. The first one is our power button right here at the top. So the next one would be our mode button. Mode button is going to transfer us from one mode to another within the light meter. My ISO button where I can change my film speed. If we come over to this side, I have a high and low or an up and down switch. And then finally right here, I have my exposure switch that's going to activate the light meter. Up here we have a dome, and this dome actually slides back and forth. While in the down position, it's taking a reflective light meter reading, just like my camera does. This reads the light after it bounces off of the subject. For the most part, when I'm using a handheld meter, I'm never going to use this because it's not as accurate as my ambient reading. And so instead, I'm going to use it up here on my ambient incandescent reading, where it's going to read the light before it hits the subject. If we take a light meter reading after the subject, the light can be changed because it might be hitting a black or white shirt or a red or gold or a reflective material. So I'm always going to keep it up here. So now let's actually turn it on and walk through the process. Now you can see right away it comes on and it's got a lot of different screens going on. We're going to hit mode until I get over here to where the little sun is. So the sun is telling me I'm taking an ambient exposure. This is what my camera would do, except in this case I'm going to actually walk right in front of my subject and hold the light meter directly in front of my subject to be able to take an exposure of the light before it hits that subject. So to be able to take this, now all I have to do is press the expose button on the side, and it tells me right now that at an ISO of 100, I'm at 1/25 of a second at a 2.0. Now I can hit my up and down switch, and I'm changing my shutter speed, you can see here, down to a 15, and at the same time it's telling me what my aperture would be as I change that. Okay, so now we're going to come over and we're going to change our ISO. If I hold the ISO switch and I do the up and down, I can actually tell it then now to change what my film speed is. Okay, now we're going to go into our next mode. This is an EV mode. Now I'm not going to really talk about this because this is something that we would do for film work. So now we'll change it over. And now I'm on a flash mode. You see a little lightning bolt there? Now that represents being able to get a flash exposure without a sync cord attached directly to my meter. So in this case, if I wanted to take a flash exposure, I'm going to need something such as a camera, another person hitting the test button, or in my case, I'm using one of our slave units to set off our flash. Now if I go ahead and flash, you can see nothing has appeared on the screen because I need to activate the screen. Notice how it's going to always ask us for our shutter speed first, and then after that it's going to give us a 0 for our f-stop because the flash is all determined with the f-stop. So I need to make sure that my shutter speed is set at what I call my sync speed or lower. Now this varies upon cameras, but most cameras are either going to be a 2/50th or a 1/25th of a second for their sync speed when it comes to working with flash. If I take a picture faster than that, I probably will lose a portion of my image. So at this point, let's go ahead and activate. So I activated my light meter. You can see it's actually flashing at me. So now when I flash my strobe, it tells me that I should be shooting at an f11. Now that could vary greatly depending upon how close or far away our flash is. So if I pull my flash a little bit closer, you'll see now when I flash, it's saying 11.4. So really somewhere between 11 and a 16 is where my ideal exposure would be on this image. Now if I change my shutter speed, notice it zeroed out. And the reason why is it wants you then to take another exposure. So if I'm going to come up to 1/25 of a second. I'll press it again, and there it goes. So 11.2, just about the exact same thing. Notice it doesn't matter if I change that shutter speed. Really what's happening is my light is staying the same because it's all dependent upon my f-stop. It's the opening within that lens that's capturing the light. Okay, so now I'm going to come over and hit my mode button one more time, and this is going to take me to the little lightning bolt with the C. This stands for cord. So this is going to take a flash exposure, but I am going to have my cord attached. So here I'll grab my PC cord and I'll plug it directly into the flash, and the other end of the PC cord will now be plugged directly into the light source. The advantage of taking this is at this point now, every time I hit my button on the side, it's going to take a light meter reading. So I can easily move around my scene and take different light meter readings to see if we're getting the kind of light that we want on our subject matter. Finally, the last thing that we need to do is power down our flash meter, and we're all done.